الممثل أليك بالدوين متهم من جديد بالقتل. بأبريل الماضي سقطت الاتهامات، بس الملاحقة القضائية ما وقفت ويمكن يدخل السجن 1.5 سنة. الحادثة الشهيرة حصلت بأكتوبر 2021 لما بالدوين أطلق النار بالخطأ على المصورة هالينا هاتشنز وقتلها، وإلى حد الآن ولا واحد يعرف شلون وصلت الرصاصات الحقيقية للمسدس. أليك بالدوين بطل ومنتج فيلم راست لحد هاي اللحظة يقول إنه ما أطلق الرصاص. مستحيل، شلون تنطلق الرصاصة من مسدس كولت 45 بدون ما هو يضغط عليها؟ وهذا مو كلامي، اختبارات الطب الشرعي الجديدة. شنو الإجراءات اللي يتبعوها لتأمين استخدام الأسلحة في مواقع التصوير؟ وشنو هي طبيعة الرصاصات المستخدمة؟ دوتش مارك خبير التسليح المخضرم راح يرد على كل هاي الأسئلة. What are the safety precautions usually when you're on set?
A film set is statistically the very, very safest place to work with firearms because we don't have any live ammunition.
Correct.
We have things that look like live ammunition, but no live ammunition. And when we do gunfire, it's with a blank. A blank does not have a bullet in it. So it's important to know the foundation of what a cartridge is, what a bullet. I would ask a lot of people, how would you describe that? And a lot of people would say, well, that's a bullet.
Correct.
And I'd say, well, that's not actually a bullet. This is the bullet. The bullet is the projectile part.
I see. It's like a cover, correct?
This is the shell that holds it all together.
Okay.
And this bullet is the part that goes out the
Correct.
barrel and that causes damage.
And in movies, they usually only use the shell.
Well, so we'll take a cartridge like the case and we'll crimp it down with gunpowder so that it fires.
I see.
But there's no bullet coming out.
So it looks real, but it's safe.
Exactly.
What happened with the Rust film? One of the biggest accidents happened in the history of filmmaking.
So there's many checks along the way. The prop people, the armorer or the gun girl on this job should have checked every single dummy round to come on the set to make sure they had the rattle and they were fake, but they clearly were not checked. They check them when they come on the set, they check them when they put them in the gun, they check them when they hand them to the actor, but that did not happen. Further, one of the biggest scandals is the first assistant director, Dave Halls, called the gun galleon with the gun and said, we're ready to rehearse the scene. He took possession of the gun. He sat in while the cameras blocked the scene. He said he inspected it with the gun gal, but he clearly didn't.
Yeah.
And then he hands it to Alec Baldwin saying, this is a cold gun. Meaning it's safe.
Yes.
Meaning there's no live rounds, there's no blanks, there's nothing, it's inert. And Alec trusted him, as Alec has done for 40 years, surrounding himself with film professionals. There should be 2 or 3 or 4 sets of eyes that have seen the dummies and the gun in advance of him getting it in his hands. And then he did probably pull the trigger when he shouldn't have. You've got a beginner gun person, brought the gun all the way to set without completely inspecting all the rounds. She loaded it apparently while she was walking to the set. She handed it to the first AD, which is, you never do that. A first AD should never be handling a prop. So always point in a safe direction. Always keep your finger off the trigger until you're ready to fire.
You always tell me that when I hold your guns.
Finger
Correct.
off the trigger. And again, up until that last second when you're really ready to fire before you put your finger on the trigger. And the last one, treat every single gun as if it's loaded. Now, if any of those three rules was abided all the way through this process, Halyna Hutchins would be alive today.
Show me the gun they used on set. Do you have something similar to what they used?
We do. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to point this in a safe direction. I'm keeping my finger off the trigger, and I'm going to treat it as though it's loaded. So I'm going to show for you whether it's loaded or not. And this particular gun, you'll see, I'll go to half.
It's not that complicated. How did they do it?
It's a very simple gun, actually. So I'm going to...
It's a common sense.
These are dummy rounds. You see that little red primer? It means there's no real primer.
Oh, so when it's orange, you mean?
Yes.
I see.
So I'm going to empty these dummy rounds out one by one, and this is the process they have to go through to make sure this gun is safe.